Okay, here we go, folks. It's a Thursday night here in Brisbane, Queensland, Australia. For Queenslanders, it's been tumultuously cold, really a winter's temperature of 17, 18 degrees. Feels really cold. And during the night, it sort of drops down to about 6. In some places in the west there, it's about -1. But anyway, my friends in the UK having one of them blimey summers, and they're talking about having the same temperature. But anyway, sources for courses. Here we are, singlet, t-shirt, and a jumper. It's cold for us. And it's 19 degrees as we currently sit here and talk to you. Right, so without further ado, you know the drill. Andrena is our co-host in the UK, and her guest tonight's also from the UK. I'm looking forward to the show, and I'll do what I normally do, which is bring all the comments and all the little pictorial stuff that comes on. So without further ado, hello, Andrena.
Hello, Jeffrey, and welcome everybody to Dream in the New Dream. If you're a new listener, welcome. And if you're listening to the replay, welcome. And today it's the 6th of July, 2023. I mean, can you believe we're in July? I mean, it's just whizzing by so fast. Anyway, it's my great privilege to have Steve Nobel on the show today. So welcome, Steve. And I just have to say, it's really funny because I've listened to your meditations over the years, on and off. So I really know your voice. And I remember talking to some girls in Glastonbury, it's probably a few years ago now. I think I was over from Australia, and they all said they were on lunch break and they were doing one of your workshops. And I said, oh, wow, I didn't, we were having a discussion about you and your meditations and what have you. And then I thought, well, if I saw you in the street, I wouldn't have a clue what you look like. But if I heard your voice, I would, it's like really uncanny talking to you now, hearing that voice, because I know it so well from the different meditations. And I just like to share, I shared one of your latest ones, the Glastonbury one. And I'm currently popped back into Glastonbury for a few days again. So I thoroughly enjoyed that one. So without further ado, welcome to Dream in the New Dream.
Thank you. Lovely. Thanks for inviting me, both of you. And yeah, it's a bit grey down here in Brighton, but it's not as hot as Australia.
No. And he's moaning it's cold, and it was like 13 degrees a couple of days ago. It was raining and cold, and I thought, oh God. Anyway. Oh yeah, right. Anyway, so were you born in Brighton? Is that your neck of the woods where you started your journey of life?
No, I was born in North London, in Hackney, in the late 50s. I think the hospital was called, I think it was the Royal German Hospital, I think. But yeah, and I lived in Islington, grew up in Islington, North London, so North London, and then I moved around north to south, then to west, then to east. So I've been around the whole of London. And now, then I moved to the coast, first St Leonard's and now Brighton. I've always loved Brighton because it's a bit of a holiday home place for me. My grandmother used to bring me down here when I was a kid. So I thought, I like the idea of work being play. So I thought, well, why not live in a place that I felt there was a holiday? So here I am, I'm about 30 seconds from the sea, in the little mews. It's kind of nice, protected mews, yeah.
Oh, lovely,
so,
yeah.
Nice and quiet, but the beach is full of, in the summer it gets packed, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we are. There I am, down there somewhere. Yeah, there it is.
Okay, so I don't really know that. I visited there once, but I don't really know that part of the world, I got to be honest. But I love the ocean as well, and I'm currently down by Poole. I'm in a place called Corfmullen, so I'm only 4 miles to the beach. So,
my brother lives in Bournemouth, so somewhere there.
Oh, does he? Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, he's somewhere there.
Anyway, so could you share, because it fascinates me, the amount of recordings. I don't know, have you ever done a total of all the meditations that you've done?
Well, on YouTube, there's about 370 tracks. And there's about 15 to 20 that I had to take off of YouTube because there was something around, they have these kind of copyright for music. And in the early days, I used to get music and I never used to note the music I used to use. These days I'm much more savvy, so I get a couple of, I've got a meditation waiting now, because YouTube say, oh, there's 10 seconds of your track that belongs to somebody, which is ridiculous, belongs to somebody else. So I've now disputed, because now I note the music I use, where in the early days I was not so savvy with it. So it's about nearly 400 actually.
Wow.
And growing, it's growing. There's another one going to be popping out next Tuesday.
So I don't know if you'd like to start how this all came about, because there's lots of questions I want to ask you about so do you want to share how your journey has evolved to where you are now?
Well, briefly, I was a weird child, as many children are.
Yeah.
And I explored but as a child, parents tolerated it. My parents were working class Brits who kind of tolerated, well, he's into Doctor Who, he's into superhero comics, he's into sci-fi, let him do that. But then as soon as I got to a teenager, my father said to me, kind of, I don't know if he said it or implied it, but get normal, kind of was get a normal job. This is his idea, get a normal job. Well, and I spent 20 years working out, well, what is a normal job? I kind of struggled for 20 years. And then I realized, I don't really like his idea of normal. I want my idea, which is a bit more out there. So in the early 90s, 1991, I kind of woke up from, I just had a kind of awakening. He died, actually. It was after his death. I was walking from the hospital and thinking there must be more to life than this, this kind of existence. And that led me on a whole level of synchronicity. One teacher, one channel, one book. It was really super fast. It was really amazing. And so I really dived in the early 90s. I was married with 2 children by then. And my now ex-wife, was very unhappy because she's very Catholic. She still is very Catholic. And she used to say to me, what cult are you into now, Steve? And I used to say to her, what a better one than you were in, but she didn't like the joke very much. She still doesn't like that joke very much. And then I explored lots of things. I dived in everything from shamanism, Wicca, metaphysics, had some great teachers, crystal healing, I was doing it all. It was all fascinating for me. And then I became, I resigned from the kind of normal world. And in 1997, I started working in a spiritual organization. I became a director in 2000, something called Alternatives.
I can remember that. I used to get the magazine from there.
Yeah.
Well, then when I read your bio, I thought, God, I can remember getting and seeing some info about that. So carry on.
Yeah. So it was nice meeting all these teachers, because I see them on stage, but it's nice to meet them behind the scenes and have tea with them. I still like tea, and we used to take them to Fortnum and Mason's, which is just down the road, and especially the Americans loved it. Fortnum and Mason's. I remember Julia Cameron, who wrote The Artist's Way. I don't know if you know that book, The Artist's Way. She said, "Oh, I really want to get a certain tea," and I went to Tesco's and I found it, and she loved me ever since then. I think there was an event. We said, do you want to come over and do an event? And it clashed with an event her publisher wanted to do. And she said, you know what? I'm coming to Alternatives. I think because I bought her the tea, actually. And a lot of these, Caroline Mice or Miss, she said, oh, she thought I was very cute. It's all very nice to meet these people, and behind the scenes and just see how are they behind the scenes and on stage? Are they the same? I was kind of curious, and mostly they were. 1 or 2 maybe weren't. And then I was kind of curious, how are they, particularly with areas around money? Because, a lot, especially from America, they're coming over. How are they with money? Because some of them are really red hot with money. We won't show up until you pay us $50,000, and that's, so we're like, right, okay, this is the kind of person you are. And of course, it's nothing wrong with having clear boundaries about money, but is the main focus money or is the main focus service? And so I stayed there for 13 years and then I left. And I left on the Winter Solstice 2012, and being very dramatic, had to be a dramatic moment. And then and then this started kicking up. I started doing transmissions. I went to Greece, and the first one I ever did was in Greece, and it was almost like this pressure on my head. I was sitting in a little Greek chapel by the ocean, big enough for about 6 people. One of those tiny little places. And I felt this pressure on my head. I'm like, what's that? And then it took me about 3 or 4 days to unravel it. Like someone's trying to connect with me. And then, well, what is it? And then it was very slow in those days. What do you want to say? What is it about? And then the first transmission went out, which was I think it was the Earth Star Goddess. And I had very big reservations about it because I said to Spirit, I don't have a womb, so I shouldn't be doing this kind of thing. You shouldn't have a woman to do that. No, get on with it was the answer. So that was the beginning. That was about 2013, 14, I think. And then I started this work in 2016, and I really jumped in. Spirit said, teach about Starseeds and Ascension. And I was like, I don't really know about it. I was more interested in practical, how does spirituality practically shift our lives? I wasn't really interested in the whole thing of Starseeds. So I thought, all right, I'll do it. And I was kind of winging it in the early days, I thought, but people loved it. They were flocking in. So the organizer of the first workshop said, these people love it. You got to do more. And I'm like, really? Oh, all right then. So it just, one thing led to another, really. And here I am 7 years later, and 400 tracks and there's more coming. There's another one going to go out next Tuesday, I think, on Archangel Raphael. There's all kind. It's never ends, really. So I'm never going to. I get a pension this year from the government, but I can't see myself ever retiring. Really.
No.
But at least I'm getting something back from the government, which is nice.
Well, yeah. You got grateful for all blessings, eh? Pocket money, I call it.
Yes. Well, my grandchildren will soon be having that. They'll be grabbing that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Right. So, how do you just suddenly get the message, right, we're ready to give you the next transmission, and you make a time, and then you sit there? Because it fascinates me, all the pictures and your graphics and the music. I mean, there's so much to your different recordings. So do you suddenly get somebody say, right, come on, this is like the Glastonbury one, for example. I mean, put a lovely picture up of the tour. And so I shared that, and I put it on different places that would appreciate it in around Glastonbury that may not see it. So so how does all that come about? And it's like, I know you said you've got one for next week, and then you might so are they saying, right, do you have control in saying, right, I'm going to do this one this date and this one? So how does that side of it work?
Well, in the beginning, it was always, I'm waiting for the next thing. I'm just waiting. And they were coming pretty regularly in the bath, running, in the shower, often when I was doing stuff, they would come, or in my own morning meditations. And then I kind of started speaking back and asking, what about this? And what about that? And I got a sense of, yes, you can do that, or no. No would be no response. And yes would be, here it is, so it'd be like that. So nowadays it's more a kind of backwards and forwards. So, for example, I did a workshop in Emerson College, which is out in the middle of the countryside in England, 28 acres, beehives and everything. And while I was there, I got another one just downloaded. Boom. It was actually about bees. And I'm like, wow. And I went and saw the bees, and I just got this download. Boom. And so it's ready to go, but I just got to get time to, there's life, there's grandkids, there's partner. And there's one of me. I've got about 7 transmissions waiting, and and then there's an urgency that comes. Do that one now, and right, okay. So and the other thing about it is they were quite higgledy-piggledy, meaning one would be a Greek goddess, one would be something on a chakra, one would be an angel, and I'm like, well, there's no order to any of these. But now, after 7 years, I see the dots are connecting. So I've created all these playlists of angels, chakras, psychic protection, Glastonbury, inner child. They're aggregating. But in the early days, they made no sense. Well, why are we jumping around? And I was just told, just do it, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to question, or just do it. So, but now after 7 years, it's starting to form. It's a bit like crop circle. If you're 300 feet above it, you can start to see it, but you're in it, you can't see what the hell's going on. So it's almost like it's not planned by my conscious mind. It's some other intelligence that's kind of putting it together in a way that I'm going, it doesn't really make sense how this is happening, but now it's starting to slowly make sense, really. The picture is building. It's almost like a vast collection of material that's meant to address any challenge that people have or any desire that they have to move forward on the spiritual path. So, you know, clear the challenges, move forward, open your vibration, shift up. So there's a lot of stuff which are very practical, like dealing with anger or dealing with fear. They're kind of very practical issues that most of us deal with, or fear of expressing yourself. So there's very, very core issues that people face. And then there are ones like connecting with Archangel Gabriel or connecting with Pleiadian archangels, that kind of thing. So it's there's a whole range. So there's something probably for everyone, I imagine, you know. And I do find that because I've kind of lived through the 3D world, the kind of normal world, I was 20 years in kind of corporate life. I had some guy who came to my workshop recently, or our workshop, me and my partner, and he was quite skeptical. I wasn't sure why he was there. You know, he spent all of his life in the corporate world. But then at the end of it, we had this little sharing circle, and he said, I'm a convert now. Because basically you know, I know there are people who talk in very kind of 12th dimensional terms, like you're like, what are they talking about? But the human experience, there's a lot of things we all share and we all want to move through and we all want tools to deal with. And anybody who's interested in a spiritual approach will probably find something in what I'm offering, you know, and it's quite grounded as well. So it's not like you have to believe anything. It's really like, it's the path of experience, really. I think spirituality is the path of experience rather than faith. Believe me, what I'm telling you, you have to believe in some, you know, demigod out there. I'm saying, here's a set of something, try it out. And, you know, I read all the comments on my YouTube channel, and by and large, they're like quite, you know, they're being transformed. People are being transformed, which is great for me to know. Oh, they're working. It's working for people. So that's good. And there's my my own social media channel for Starseeds, because I've got fed up with Facebook and Big Brother, you know, fact checkers, you know, who are these fact checkers and censors? So I set up my own one. There's about 13,000 members on it. So, and, you know, it seems to be growing. So, yeah, if anybody's interested in joining that, it's a bit like a Facebook. And then when you join, you get access to a whole library of material on my website. Yeah.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
So what's the most that you've had to do? Because I think a little while back, I thought, gosh, he must have put 3 up or 4 in one day. I don't know if I dreamt it, but it just seemed to be one after the other. And I think they were in one day. So what's the most you've put up in a day?
Well, I might put a couple up in a day. I usually kind of I don't think I put more than 2 up in a day, but in a week I might put 3 or 4. I'm being remastering a lot of the older ones because I've always been told, make it professional. You know, really early on when I was doing this stuff, the earliest there's none of my really early videos left because I've remastered them all. But the kind of visuals were pretty, you know, amateur-like, and also had to get better with the audio editing. So audio and video and all of that, the whole thing, like imagery. A lot of the images I'm designing now myself, working on Canva or Midjourney, you know, and so I'm designing myself. The music I've sourced from a lot of places. I've got to pull in, well, what track best suits this and what visual best suits it, and then create it. I quite like the whole creating process. It's quite the best bit of fun for me. And also the fact that I feel I can reach, there's 170,000 people on YouTube now. So one video can reach so many people, which is amazing, isn't it? That you can help. You know, even if like 20,000 people hear that one, it's an amazing thing to reach 20,000 people and help shift something in their lives, which is what really keeps me going.
Amazing. So, because I know there's a lot of talk about going from 3D to 5D now. So, you know, like for me, or my understanding or way of thinking, it's like we're letting go of all the negative stuff and all of the control issues, and we're all finding our own way, coming together on a much higher vibration. So what are your thoughts on, you know, us going from 3D to 5D?
Well, to me, 3D is the world we read in the newspapers. It's the world you hear on most regular news channels. if you read it, it's all about the problems, the war, the suffering, or there's also a lot of blame and judgment, which is kind of the very 3D world. It's very competitive. It's very, the structure of it would probably be pyramidical. You know, there's people trying to climb the pyramid, get to the top. And at the top of the pyramid in 3D is the super wealthy. And most people hear about the super wealthy or super powerful, but they've got no idea of actually how much wealth they've got. They have got more wealth you can probably imagine. You know, it's incredible, trillions, you know, and they want more. They're not kind of content with it. They want more control, more wealth, more power. So it's this pyramidical structure, but it's breaking down now. And it's been breaking down for a number of years, probably since World War II. After World War II, a number of starseeds came in, which is kind of more high vibrational souls. And from, you know, people like David Bowie came in the 40s, John Lennon, these kind of types came in. And of course, they went into the music industry because they could be accepted in their weirdness in the music industry. That led to the flower power revolution in the 60s, which I was kind of growing up in. I was a kind of kid growing up watching flower power, you know, beatniks and then flower power. And this was a kind of wave of, you know, love, not war, and all of this kind of thing. It kind of, and Woodstock, and then that broke down, and then you got in the 70s, a lot of other things happened. A lot of channel teachers started coming in. You had Osho in India, and you had people like Seth. These channels came in, a number of channels coming in the 60s. And then, so in the 80s, 90s, spirituality kind of fragmented a lot. And so I was in alternatives in the 90s. And my idea was, I hope it goes mainstream, you know, because it wasn't mainstream. It's kind of edgy, out the system. But now, in the late 90s, it started to be embraced by mainstream publishers and mainstream. So you've got Sounds True, Hay House, all these big platforms now. Gaia TV came in later, that are now embracing it. So it's not so alternative now. It's kind of gone a bit more mainstream, and which is fabulous. But one of the issues around that is, of course, there's money, you know, and where there's a lot of money, you get a lot of people jumping on. So now, rather than having not a lot of choice, now you've got so much choice of like who and what, you know, and there's a lot of people jumping in with, I kind of think a lot of you know, there's a angel deck for every day of the year now, you know, practically, and they keep coming out, don't they? Anyway, so 3D is that rocks are hard, water's wet. Now in 4D is really where we start waking up to energy. Everything is energy. And that we can meditate, and actually there's a point of meditation, and actually the idea we create our reality from the inside out are all 4D ideas. Mantras, kirtans, vision boarding, the secret, you know, all of these things are 4D. Let's wake people up to a new possibility of life. But 4D really equates to the astral plane. I don't know if you know the astral planes. People talk about the astral planes. The astral planes are the dreaming planes. Now, the astral plane is not just one plane, it's many planes divided. You have the lower astral, which is kind of the really lower, dense, nightmarish realms, like the Avatar Lost in the Forest realms. You know, anybody who has a bad drug trip gets to see the lower astral, really. And it's not a pleasant place. I've had a few visits over the years, and it's really not very pleasant. You've got the middle astral, which is where most people dream. And then you've got the higher astral, which is kind of where you start accessing angels and higher beings. My brother's a medium, the one who lives in Bournemouth. And if you go to any spiritualist church, you're really accessing the middle astral, where people who are not very wise die. And on the other side, they're not very wise. And they come back saying not very wise stuff. You know, have you ever been to a spiritualist church, which is kind of like very mundane? You're like, wash your curtains, dear, you know, check your bottom drawer. It's all very like, what, you know, where's the higher thing in that? But then when you start connecting with the higher 5D and beyond, because it's not just 5D, you start accessing beings who have got a higher kind of, they start coming in with a much higher energy, much higher overview of what life's about. You know, I don't know if you've ever read the Seth books, but Seth was kind of one of those beings. He's not a 4D being. He's coming from 5D and above, talking about higher planes of reality. 5D is really where people start really anchoring in onto unity, love, consciousness, miracles, synchronicity, and they become consistent. Whereas in 4D, it's very up and down. You go to a workshop, you feel great. Hey, I feel amazing. I'm creating something beautiful. And then you talk to your mother-in-law, and then you crash, or your boss in the 3D corporation, you crash. So 4D is this kind of up and down. It's kind of normal. But after a while, you start anchoring into 5D, which means your energy is not pulled down anymore by the depressive colleagues or your, angry father-in-law or whatever. You can start anchoring there, and they don't pull you down. So what happens then is, once you start entering there, you start pulling people up. That's your role. So now that I've kind of anchoring a little bit, it's not like I'm never have a bad day, but I'm kind of getting a bit there, so I can reach out and start touching people. If I'm in 4D up and down, I'm like, oh, I'm having a bad hair day, I can't do it today. You can't do that when you're doing this job. So now, after about 30 years of spiritual work, intense spiritual work, like I'm talking every day, every weekend, it's like non-stop. Finally, I'm kind of starting to anchor in the lower edges of 5D. And at the higher edges, you're talking about the kind of avatar people who come here. Like, they can do real miracles. I mean, I've seen a lot of miracles in my life, and I experience a lot, but I'm not yet to walk on water. I don't think I'll do that in this lifetime, but my grandkids would be very impressed if I do. They're very impressed with my YouTube channel. I think that's good enough. Yeah, they go, Granddad, you're famous. You've got a blue tick on Instagram. They were really impressed with that.
I love it.
And actually, my grandkids, their primary school, the caretaker was into my videos. And in their secondary school, the top two, the eldest two are in secondary school. Their art teacher listens to so they've got this street cred now. Hey, our art teacher listens to you, Granddad. I don't know how they found out, but somehow. So it's really nice that my grandkids are like, Granddad, you're cool. Our art teacher loves you,
That's definitely street cred, isn't it?
Street cred with my grandkids, yeah. There we are. And they're all into crystals. They all love. And I've got loads of crystals, but they come here and they go, oh, Granddad, I like that crystal. That's fabulous. And but fortunately, my new acquisitions, which are I've got some of these orgonite ones. Here's one here. They're too heavy for them, so here's one of my new ones. But it's too heavy.
Wow.
So they can't steal them.
Yeah.
So
what's on the bottom there? Look like the old telephone dial.
Yeah, this is like orgonite. So they put all this kind of copper wiring and stuff in there, and then crystals, and it's kind of the latest thing for EMF. This was a kind of Egyptian one with the ankh. You see, there's the ankh, and I've got other ones around. Oh goodness, it's quite heavy now. Let's see if I can put it back safely. There we are. So basically, they can't steal them, although they'd like to.
Yeah, what ages are they?
13, nearly 14, and then the next one's 12, and then the lower two are 4 and 2, and they are so cute. They're all very cute. They love each other. It's like a big tribe. Tribal gathering.
So are they quite aware? Do they see and sense things, and that you're able to help them and guide them, or are they
not really at the moment? I kind of did guide them. I was getting them to talk to trees and stuff when they were younger, but now they're kind of at an age where, oh, Granddad, we don't know about all that stuff. Talking to trees. Really, we can't tell our friends that kind of stuff. So I remember when Eva, the eldest one, was 5, I was talking to trees. She said, Granddad, is this for real? Which I thought was very cute for a 5-year-old to say to me. And I said, of course. What did they teach you in school? They went, not to talk to trees, Granddad. So I'm like, you need to go to a new school.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Hogwarts. So I think when they're a bit older, I'm taking them to their first music festival in about 3-4 weeks, and that'll be a new experience for the older two. Music and alternative workshops. Now they're getting to the age I want to introduce them to. It's still going to be cool for them, I think, because it's music, so they probably will like that. So you have to be careful. It's a kind of fine line with kids, because their parents are my daughter and son are a bit 3D, so I don't want to freak them out too much. So,
totally. Yeah, I know what you mean there. What was I going to say? Yeah, the graphics that you do are just amazing. So did you start off with a bit of background in doing the graphic work, or it's just evolved over the time?
Well, my partner did a degree in brand art direction and brand something or other.
Well, that's very handy then.
Yeah, that's handy. So she helped me get this up. So I've got a designer who designed all this. So she's the one with the sharp eye looking at all the stuff, and or she'll say, no, that's not good enough. You got to sharpen that up. But mostly I do it myself. I Midjourney, which is an AI platform, which I find is okay. You know, people are worried about AI, but I find that platform is all right. I use Canva a lot, so I kind of craft a lot of the images. And the music I source, I kind of like listening to great music. And if I find someone, I ask them for permission, or, you know, there are artists who are willing to kind of, you know, so I've got a whole range of stuff. So imagery, music, and so these three things, having a clear focus for the meditation or transmission, imagery and music, all creates an amazing experience for people. So I was told early on, make it professional. So I've been ongoingly trying to sharpen it up, make it professional. So yeah, and my partner Liz helps. She's pretty good with that. She's very good at giving me feedback, let's say, on a daily basis.
Right. Oh, what was I going to say then? So out of all the YouTube videos that you've done so far, is there one that's had the greatest amount of impact on people?
Yeah, I think the one that's probably had, well, I've remastered it 3 or 4 times, and it's probably had, if I add all of those up, probably had about 1.5 million plays actually, and it's called Ultraviolet Angelic Fire Transmission.
Right.
That one, I think the current one's had about 500,000 plays, but that's been remastered twice. So I'm remastering it again actually, because the graphics are still needing to be, you know, brought up to speed. So yeah, it's had about 1.5 million plays, so it's quite good.
Wow.
Good reach, that one.
Yeah. So you haven't gone in, because I was listening to a meditation the other day, and then all of a sudden an ad come in, and it's like brought you back to, and I was thinking, oh my God, fancy having an ad in the middle of a meditation. So
There was an ad that came in.
Yeah. So not yours, somebody else.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so it's nice
because all of the meditations are ad free. I don't allow any ads in any of the meditations.
Yeah, no, that's what I was going to say, and that makes a big difference, I think, because these ads now are too many.
Yeah. Well, I didn't monetize my channel for a long time, but then YouTube sent me an email saying, if you don't, we will. And I'm like, oh. So I had to go around and find someone like, what does it mean? Do I have to monetize all of them? But then I found somebody new, and she said, no, you can go in and you can choose unclick. So there's most of them, all of the meditations and transmissions, no ads. The affirmations one have one at the beginning, but affirmations are highlight decree, but all the rest are ad free. So yeah, I don't want to have any ads popping. I mean, you can't have a meditation with an ad popping up in the middle. It spoils the whole thing.
This one did, and there were a lot of other people who had written, because I wrote a comment saying, and a lot of other people had written the same, and I was thinking, gosh, you know, I mean, obviously I don't know what sort of they pay for all these adverts, but some of them now is just beyond belief.
Well, you'll lose people because people will switch off, you know, and I certainly don't want to lose people. I want to grow the audience, because I've got my silver plaque for 100,000 subscribers. You get a gold one at 1 million.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, you got a gold one at 1 million. It's quite a big one, but my kids are really excited, because even though they don't really get what I'm doing, I bought them a silver plaque each, because YouTube said you can buy extra ones for friends or whatever, or for colleagues. So I bought them one each, and they're very proud that I've reached, because it's almost like Granddad's got a certificate on the wall of some kind from YouTube, so it must be good. Yeah.
I didn't know they did anything like that, but then so I think I'm on about 346 subscribers.
Oh,
so
well, you got a way to go.
Yeah, a bit further down the track than you, but anyway, that's, you know, there's no problem there. So we're all doing what we're doing, eh?
Yeah.
So have you done any for children?
I haven't. My partner has. Her channel's lizfinlay.com, and she's got 3 or 4 tracks for children. I'm planning to do one for children, but I haven't got round to it yet. But I will do something for children. But I've still got several I've got to put out. You know, there's still so many that's got to go up there. And yeah, you can see there's loads of different choice, loads of different subjects. From, you know, that one, the ancestral war violence one, clearing karmic patterns. That one came about because both my grandfathers were in World War One, and for years I've struggled with this thing of carrying something for them. I've done loads of family constellation. I even did a couple of ayahuasca trips, you know, to clear it. And I was carrying a lot of when I was a kid, I was making you know, airfix model planes and painting armies. I was trying to work something out because, you know, imagine being in the trenches, horrendous things. So I've done a lot of work, and that one is to help people clear out karma. Because certainly in England, every family's got military stuff, empire, military. England's been a pretty warlike country, so but almost every country will have something in their family line which will need clearing. So that's one of the areas I've done. Ancestral clearing is one thing I've done. But there's like that one there, super quick self-love. So many people have problems. So do you love yourself? You know, and one of the problems with that is about other people's judgments, opinions, and projections that we take on, parents, professors, you know, all of these people. That blocks us because we take their voices in our head. We have to undo those voices. So another one, for example, the Rainbow Tribe meditation, that one, going beyond 3D racial tensions and schisms. That one was really created because of a lot of tension in America. I think there was, do you remember that guy? There was a policeman sat on him and he choked to death. I can't remember that. He think he got sent to prison. There was big rioting afterwards. Someone emailed me saying, "Can I do something?" And I was like, "Oh." So I put that one out because basically the core idea of that one is the ego doesn't have a face. Actually, the ego has many faces. We incarnate in many bodies, many races, not even human. Some of them are other dimensional ones. So there's transforming anger there, which was a lot of people have issues with anger, especially they can't express anger. You know, that could be a big problem. People say, well, I don't feel anger. That's because you've suppressed it, and anger is in your field. You need, or if you're attracting a lot of angry people, then you need to do the anger one, because it's about something within you that's attracting it. It may be a fear of anger, or anger is, maybe associated with unsafety, all these kind of things. Being whole brained, accessing your internal GPS. That one is really, intuition is so important, really, because for a lot of people, just to make decisions on your rational mind in this day and age is not enough, because if you're just making decisions and moving forward or based on logic alone, then you're gonna come unstuck, because you need an intuition these days. I do remember a case of someone who decided he was going to find a marriage partner through logic alone, pros and cons, that kind of idea.
All right.
So he married, here's three possibles, let's do the pros and cons. He married someone doing that, got divorced after 2 years. Terrible decision. So don't try that one. These are getting into some of the older ones. The age of Aquarius is here, time to wake up. We're really shifting into, the idea of Pisces to Aquarius, where Pisces is really the age of the guru, the avatar guru. Aquarius is not the age of the guru. We're not here to, and there's another one. The age of the guru is over. The age of Aquarius is here. There are still people putting themselves out as gurus. Really that age is over, and there's still people following gurus. People like me are not gurus. We are here as facilitators. We're here to wake up the master within. We're not here to tell you what to do, really. There's ones about like the Lion Star race of Sirius. There's an angel one, Archangel Christiel. There's goddess one, goddess Inanna. So there's lots of star races, lots of angelic ones, lots of goddessy ones. There's one about spiritual awakening, upgrading the ego. Basically, the spiritual journey is about upgrading the ego. The ego is who we think we are, all the masks we put on. I am the boss. I am the father. I am an extrovert. These are just masks we put on. The journey is around going beyond the masks and upgrading the masks. Awakening the Star Magician, that was one of the earliest ones. That's been remastered a few times. So that one's already already at 89,000 plays. You can see that one is an early one. I love the Magician. It's one that I feel very connected to. The shaman magician archetype. I've done a lot of shamanic stuff, and so I really love that one. Goddess Isis one there. I've got several Goddess Isis ones. So again, in the early days, I haven't got a womb, but hey, just get on with it. So Goddess Isis, I feel very connected to the Egyptian pantheon and also the Greek pantheon. So there's a lot of Greek and Egyptian, and they are kind of interchangeable because Greece and Egypt had a lot of connections between the two. You know, Alexander was in Egypt, and there was a lot of, even before him, a lot of Greeks used to go to Egypt for wisdom. So here we're getting into the really older ones. So you can see the graphics are a little bit, there's the ultraviolet one. Oh, it's had actually 900,000 plays 5 years ago. The one before that had about 600,000. So it's had, you know, probably over 1.5 million plays, that one. There's a lot of abundance tracks on there because I think abundance is one issue that a lot of spiritual people struggle with. And certainly I struggle with. Money, is money okay? Can I be spiritual and have money? And yes, you can, you know, and what I say to people in this day and age, you know, I can't pay my IT guy in bananas, or I can't pay a graphic designer with a Reiki healing. I have to have money to pay them. So money's just energy. And when people look at money as energy, oh, that's a nice comment. Really, the old schism around money and spirituality is an old one, goes back way back, probably 1,000 years back to, you know, the monastic age, when if you want to be spiritual, you go in a monastery and then you basically get rid of all your gear, put on a grey robe and have nothing. Even in Buddhism, it was the same, you know, Buddhism, begging bowl. So in these traditions, money was considered of anti-spiritual. You know, you can't have money, and if you're having money, go in the marketplace, be a trader, or be in the monastery and be spiritual. That old schism is gone now. So we're now in a place of, to be spiritual, you need money to go on these retreats. If you want to go to Bali on some yoga retreat, you need money. If you want a website, you need money. It's no longer anything about taking a begging bowl. But money is just energy. When I worked in banking in the city, I saw, because it was really billions flew through it every day. I felt even then that it's just flows of energy. It's almost like blips in a computer system. It's not, money is kind of unreal, but a lot of people consider it as real and heavy, you know, and that weighs us down. Fear around money, fear around scarcity. You know, my parents had lots of scarcity programming. This is something we're undoing because we need to expand our mindset. Money is not the point of the journey, but you definitely need money to do the journey. Whatever your journey is, you need it. Otherwise, you'd be sitting at home meditating in your mother's bedroom, you know, hoping a knight in shining armor will come and rescue you or something. We don't do that anymore. No.
You got mother issues there by the sounds of it, brother.
Oh, well, my mother's gone now. I've healed my mother's, but I certainly did for a while, for sure.
Yeah. Obviously she had the womb. I've got to say, I've been going through your YouTube there, and I'm showing the viewers and that. I think it's a fantastic piece of art that you've got there as the cover. You can just see how much energy that's gone into it, and it's, people forget about when they pick up something. There's an energy that's been embraced into the product itself, and when it comes with the intent. And just listening to you, your intent is the fact that it's getting that knowledge out there and opening the doors to people to realize, hello, you know, there's more to life than playing Monopoly. Yeah.
Yeah. You think most people realize that, but probably about, I'd say 95% of the world is still sleeping, chasing money, and doing the regular eat, sleep, you know, work, all that. And actually, I found out that one of my best friends at school passed over. He was probably a few months younger than me. He died about 7 months ago. And I went on, he had a Facebook page, and I looked at his Facebook page. This guy did amazingly well financially. But when I looked at his life, you know, it's about money, 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 money. And, you know, had big house in the countryside. He had a convertible Bentley. But I kind of wonder, you know, you chase money all of your life. And he certainly was, you know, the person most likely to succeed, good looking, bright, women loved, girls loved him, and he it was just about money in the end. It seemed like it was, but that's for most people. Money equals security, safety. Money equals, for men, I guess, if I've got a load of money, I am successful. Success is very narrow definition, isn't it? Money is successful, whereas my definition is broader than that. Because having written a number of books, for example, I think my granddaughter said to me one day, "Hey, Granddad, if I write a book, would you design the cover for me?" And I went, "Yes, that's amazing. Yeah, I
Wow.
want to inspire them. I want to be an inspiration for them, that when they get to adulthood, they'll go, Granddad was a bit weird, but hey, he did some cool stuff as well." So that success could be also being inspiration for those who come behind, rather than I'm just leaving them a load of money or whatever. But they'd like to use up all my money now if they could. They're good at spending money, actually, my granddaughters. But there we are. So definition is, but what is success? And I think it's important for everyone to define for themselves, what does success mean for you? Is it about living a joyful life, a magical life, a life where you've explored, done stuff, a life where I was talking to someone the weekend who said she had a granddad who was considered a bit balmy, and his adventures were incredible. Going to Africa, meeting cannibal tribes. Like, what you seeking out a cannibal tribe? Isn't that mad? But she said, yeah, he was a bit mad, but he did it, and he made friends with a cannibal tribe, giving them cigarettes and things. And I thought, well, that's quite extraordinary. He's got quite an extraordinary family. So my family that I was born into, I would say, was not extraordinary. There was pretty working class, get on with it. Work. My father's father had a certificate on the wall for working 45 years as an engineer on the trams, had a gold watch. And at the time I was like, 45 years, that's kind of a long time working in the same place. We're not in the same world anymore. I'm not going to get a gold watch from anyone unless I buy one for myself.
Yeah.
No one's going to get me a gold watch. So, yeah.
I think Steve, from what listeners here, it all comes back to achievement. So the guy's got the big house in the country and he's got his convertible Bentley. There's another aspect to it in the sense of goal setting, isn't it? So when a builder goes along and looks at an empty block of land, then he's got to come up with the drawings and he's got to erect a building. Everything he does through the process of building that building, he's accomplishing little things every day until finally he's built the house and he can walk back and say, I built that. Whereas the wife, the mother, is in the kitchen and makes a batch of scones and she's achieved the goal setting. And so it all comes back to in the linear time where one achieves something. So for someone to step back and say, okay, well, I've got my bloody house and I've got my car, but it's taken me 30 years to do that. It's a long time for that goal set to actually take place. For us, if we go into the spiritual side of things and you go into meditation and then you get this download and all of a sudden you get this, and all of a sudden you just open your whole concept to a whole new way of thinking. That's a real imaginary goal that you then, let's go for the next trip. Let's get to the next mountaintop. Let's really open up to what we can possibly achieve. I mean, So I mean, in terms of that linear time sequence, working 45 years, showed a sense of, normality, strength, substance, being a provider and all that stuff. And I know that quite often when I go back home, if I happen to go to the club, the ones who haven't left that community are still sitting in the same spot. It's almost like watching Coronation Street with Ian Sharples and her crew, isn't it?
Yeah. I remember that, yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes, when you go back there and you see that solidity and that sort of, okay, well, the same, and then you step back and think, well, what have we really achieved by leaving that community to go and explore, and then what can we bring back to that community? I mean, sometimes those people are just stuck in their ways and they. But anyway, at the same token, if you ask them, for your shirt, they'll give you a shirt off your back. I mean, because it's a different sort of community, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I'm reaching a global community. Where I'm living is very alternative, but I'm not really reaching out to anyone here. I'm not doing talks here. I'm kind of going out globally. I'm not interested in here. But I think the intention of the soul, or the primary purpose of the soul, is growth. And we incarnate to grow, to experience, to complete things, to open new things, to release karmic things, all of this stuff. There's a whole if I'm just chasing money and I'm not open to anything spiritual, I'm not really even touching that level. It's like I'm ticking the box, I've got a house, and then there's a kind of another life which is like, well, come back again and again and again and again until you start raising the bar a bit and opening up a bit. There's also the bloodlines, because when I look at my grandchildren, I look at them and go, I see adults and I see mothers and I see grandmothers and I see the bloodlines going down. So I want to do whatever I can for this bloodline to, to open, to achieve more, to love, to live, to, not to live a closed life. And I'm doing that globally. I'm trying to reach as many people as possible to say, you can do whatever you want to do in this life. You can do it. Nothing is impossible. All limits are in the mind, really. Every limit is in the mind. When you expand the limits in the mind, every area of your life can begin to transform. So this is my job. Bloodlines, helping the bloodlines to live, grandchildren particularly, to live their best life as far as I can. And introduce them to stuff. As I'm always taking my grandkids out on climbing stuff. My son abseiling, and I'm trying to expand what's possible. Not just, they're not into meditation, so it's other stuff, dancing, paddleboarding, just to expand their comfort zone. I want them to whatever they want to do. My son wanted to go in the police force. He went into the security industry. And I really encourage him, do what you love, do whatever you love. And I had his mother on the phone to me going, if he gets killed, it's your fault. You're encouraging him. I'm like, it's what he loves. Let him do it. My daughter was fascinated with very dark stuff. So she did a degree in criminology. I said, do it. If that's what you want to do, go and explore that. And then she was getting me to read through all of her thesis on serial killers. I'm like, oh my God, daytime is Love and Light. Nighttime is Serial Sam. I'm like, okay, let's do it. I'll read through it for you.
That's the balance.
They got to do whatever they love, whatever they want to do. It's not what I want them to do. It's what they want to do. And also the grandkids and great grandkids. It's what you want to do with your life. Because that is in alignment with your soul, your heart. It's not what I want to do, because a lot of parents impose their values on their kids. This is what's important for me, so you got to do the same thing. I'm not doing that. My parents did that with me. Get a secure job, be secure.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I don't. Yeah, I don't. That was the worst advice. I'm telling them, go out and do what you want to do. Find what you want to do and do it. That's the simple formula for happiness. They are resisting me, but hey, they're a mission. They're a mission. Take them a few years. They're young. So I'm still opening their minds up. Hopefully.
Yeah, brilliant. So can we touch on some of, because I know you've written 6 books. Can we touch on your books?
Well, the most recent one is this one, Joy at Work. That's a rewrite of one that I wrote in 2011 when I was leaving alternatives. So this one is really, if you're in a 3D job and you want to change the energy of it, you want to move on or just shift your ability, being there. So that's that book, Joy at Work. And the one before that is Spiritual Entrepreneur, which is really for people who want a business, who are thinking of being in business. Because for a lot of starseeds, light workers, people into the spiritual world, they don't want to work in some 3D corporation with some, boss who's anal, come on. When I worked in the bank, I had no real interest in making the shareholders money. Now I'm doing what I'm most passionate about. My partner's saying, you need to stop working so hard. Because when you really love what you're doing, you will just keep on at it. I'm 24/7. I'm never going to stop. I'm up at 7 o'clock just downloading and making notes and just in the zone all the time. I'm never out the zone. So Liz is saying, come on, let's go and let's have a meal and let's just chill. And even in the meal, I might be getting downloads. She said, "Where are you? What did I say to you?" I'm like, "Can you repeat that? I can't remember. What did you say?" Because sometimes, and said, you have to excuse me because I'm often pulled into another world and you might be saying something really important. And so I'm having to say to them, guys, if my partner is saying something important, leave me alone. because otherwise I get into trouble if I'm not
Yeah,
listening.
of course.
You know what it's like. You know, if you're not listening to your partner, you get into trouble. So
Well, the next letter after the alphabet, after X, is Y, isn't it?
yeah. So I'm, practicing. Okay, switch that off, and it can't be 24/7. I have to kind of be, I make breakfast in the mornings, and so I missed out one the other day, and because I don't know I was connecting somewhere, and so she's always saying to me, "Am I going to get my breakfast today in this dimension? Are you sure?" She's kind of has doubts, because I missed one day. The spirit was pulling me off somewhere.
Right, Sally's asking a question here. Do you channel your meditations live? See you sharing what your soul is experiencing in vision space, or does the light guide you in your creation that you already planned, if that makes sense?
Yeah. So all of the transmissions come through my body first, through my mind, emotional, mental body. I don't put anything out until I've run it through my field. So nothing is like, I used to work with these guys and they used to do this. Oh, I'm just getting this and I'm getting that. And they used to go all over the place. And I'm like, no, I don't do that. I say to Spirit, I want to know the point of this. I want to know the intention of it. I want to know what it's meant to do before I put it out. So I do webinars where I do live transmissions, but they're all run through my body first. And I am opening a YouTube platform where I'm going to be doing live transmissions and live classes. But all of it first is run through me. Nothing is just going, I don't know what's coming through now, guys. Here it is. I'm not like that. I'm call me distrusting, but I want to know from Spirit. Because it takes time. Sometimes it might be not complete. I run it through my body and it's not complete. There's something, so it takes me a bit to, there it is, got it. And so if I'm doing it live, I can't do all that stuff. I can't go, hang on, guys, there's something missing. Let's go back a step. No, so I don't do that. But there are live transmissions, but they're all run through me first.
Brilliant. Right, so I know that you've got a busy time frame and we're coming to near the end. Is there any wisdom or guidance that you'd like to share with the audience before you depart today?
Well, the planet is very chaotic, and it's chaotic because a lot of light is coming through. Where there's a lot of light, there's a lot of the old shadows are coming up. So a lot of the old darkness is coming out. We can see it politically, financially, we can see it. And now there are channels where people can share. They can look at it and go, that's crazy. People are not believing their governments because their governments are very 3D and the news are very 3D. So people are looking for alternative outlets. The planet is shifting into light, but before it shifts into light, we're going through a period of volatility, a period of chaos. Before any big shift, there's always chaos. So don't worry about the chaos right now. Don't worry about Donald Trump. Will he run again? Or Joe? When you look at Joe Biden, is he real? Don't worry about all that stuff. The planet is going through a lot of weird stuff, and it's going to take another decade or two, maybe 3 before it really settles. So we're here to watch the light come in, anchor it in, and to notice all these shadows coming out. Not worry about it too much. Just look at it and go, yeah, that's part of the old world crumbling. The old world is crumbling. Old systems are crumbling. We've just got to make sure that we're aligned with where we need to go, and then our intuition is on, so we can move through this world and not be caught up in too many fights or conflicts or dramas. That's important. And also where to move to. Our soul might say, get out of Brisbane now, or get out of London. Before lockdown, I was told, get out of London now. And I was like, oh, okay, go to the coast. So that's what I did before lockdown. So it's great. I wouldn't want to be locked down in a city like London with 10 million people. Better by the sea, we can sit on the beach and breathe the fresh air,
True.
So,
right. Yeah. Okay. So I think that's it for today.
Thank you, guys.
It's been absolutely fascinating, and it's so funny hearing your voice and having a face, if you know what I mean.
It's real.
In the nicest possible way. So thank you for sharing, and all what you're doing for humanity is absolutely fantastic. So thank you for being our guest.
Thank you, guys.
Wish you every success.
Thank you.
That'd be brilliant.
Thank you.
And thank you, everybody, for listening. And same time, same place next week.